all over the world. Millions of young people took to the streets, and they were joined by their parents' generation and their grandparents' generation, and they spoke with a single voice. And what they said was clear and compelling. It's our turn. We're a new generation. We want a new vision for the future. There's something unfair in the way this world is organized. Why isn't there no jobs for young people? Why is it that the economy is collapsing? Why is it that this beautiful planet we live in is deteriorating and we are now threatened as never before? We are ending a great industrial era based on fossil fuels. When oil went up to $147 a barrel a few years ago on world markets, all the other prices in the world went up because everything's made out of fossil fuels. Pesticides, fertilizers, construction materials, power, transport, heat, light, all of it. First, we need to understand that the second industrial revolution based on fossil fuels is now sunsetting. The energies are getting too expensive: coal, oil, gas, uranium. And now the technologies based on those energies, they're very old. They have no multiplier effect. And the entire infrastructure of this civilization based on these carbon fuels is now on life support. Fossil fuels are the most elite energies in the world. They're not found everywhere. They're only found in a few places. So they require huge military investments to secure them. They require massive finance capital from banks to organize them from the wellhead to the final user. The result is the second industrial revolution has created a top-down, centralized energy regime and economic structure unparalleled in history. And today, at the end of this second industrial revolution, 3 of the 5 largest companies in the world are global energy companies. And underneath these companies are the large banks that finance this second industrial revolution energy infrastructure. And under the banks are 500 or so global companies who feed off the oil spigot, from telecommunications to transport. And when we put this all together, it's shocking to realize that these 500 companies make up 1/3 of the GDP of the entire world. So we've created this very, very centralized elite second industrial revolution energy, technology, and infrastructure. And now, as we end this age in history, 1% of the population that's controlled this pyramid has benefited immensely, and 99% of the population that's at the bottom of this pyramid has been disenfranchised and is getting poorer and poorer. What do? We need a new way to organize society based on justice, inequity, and sustainability. When communication and energy revolutions come together, they change economic history, they change the way power is distributed. We're on the cusp of a great new communication energy convergence, a third industrial revolution. And what is so interesting about the internet is that this electricity communication is very different than the one I grew up on the 20th century. I grew up on telephones, radio, television, centralized, organized, top-down. By contrast, the internet revolution is organized very differently. It's distributed, it's collaborative. Millions of young people come together in vast networks, and they exercise lateral power. This internet communication revolution is just now beginning to merge with a new energy regime, and we transform the entire electricity grid of the world to an energy internet, so that when millions and millions of buildings are collecting green energy on site, storing that energy in hydrogen like we store media in digit. And then if you don't need some of that energy, and some of your neighbors do, your software can direct your energy across an energy internet, and you can share it across continents. This is power to the people. This is lateral power. The music companies, they didn't understand file sharing in music. When millions and millions of young people began to create software to distribute and collaborate and share their music in vast networks, the music companies thought it was a joke. Then the music companies went out of business. And you know, the newspapers didn't understand the blogosphere. And now the newspapers are creating blogs that are going out of business. As powerful as these changes are in the social spaces of the internet, when the internet joins with renewable energy, it's 100 times more powerful because it changes the political landscape fundamentally. Ask this question: does this institutional behavior, whether it's government, business, education, is this institutional behavior centralized, patriarchal, top-down? Is it closed? Is it proprietary? Or is this institutional behavior distributed? Is it collaborative? Is it open and transparent? Is it lateral power? This is the new politics of a new generation. Lateral power brings with it a much more equitable distribution of the fruits of society. Because when millions and millions of people are sharing their energy, their resources, their economic wealth, we create a good quality of life. Nobody's left behind. We all become entrepreneurs, but we all collaborate in social networks. This is the way a decent, humane economy should operate on this planet. Then we won't have the 99% versus the 1. We'll have the 100%, living together in a just and sustainable world. So my hope for this young generation: point the way, direct us into a new future, one that we can be proud of because we've shared the great fruits of this planet. We've protected the interests of our fellow creatures. We've preserved this earth for future generations. We've made a better world.